Good evening, this is my review for the 2019 film Escape Room, directed by Adam Robitel. And yes, the title does refer to the type of escape room where you pay your £15 and you have to solve a series of puzzles and clues to hopefully get out within the hour and win a cash prize or a certificate or whatever. I've always wanted to do one actually and never quite got around to it, but hopefully one day. So in this film, there are 6 characters who all receive an invitation to go and do one of these types of escape room. But when they get there and they get inside, they quickly realise that they are playing this time for their lives. So this setup is quite similar to the Saw series in a way. You've got people trying to solve traps and puzzles and things, otherwise it's going to cost them their life. But if you're the type of person who was put off by all the violence and gruesomeness of Saw, then don't let that put you off Escape Room, because there's not actually that much gore in this film at all. There's much more emphasis on tension and suspense. This isn't a movie that's trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I think it's all the better for it. It's actually quite refreshing, just how little gore there is in this movie. I don't mind things like Saw and that, but though it did get a little excessive by the time it got to sort of the 5th, 6th, 7th movie. But I really like the fact that this film sort of keeps a lid on it a little bit. You won't see people in this film cutting off the 2nd and 4th finger of their hand just for the sake of solving a puzzle so they can, push 3 fingers into holes in a certain way. Nothing horrible like that. It's people do die in the film, but it just isn't that disgusting, so definitely a plus point. Another thing the film's got going for it is the seemingly inexhaustible budget of the villains of the piece. I mean, you can tell straight away that whoever's behind this dastardly plot has clearly got millions of pounds and hundreds of employees. Just no way that would not be the case, given the sheer size and scale and the elaborate nature of all these rooms. In Saw, it was just John Kramer and a couple of his associates, and they only had a certain amount of time and resource to put together all these kind of like small scale traps in warehouses and things. And even then, you sort of watched those movies and thought, how did they do all that in 48 hours? Well, there are no such restrictions here. We have just the most incredible rooms throughout this movie, and they're all exquisitely designed and well put together. I was so impressed. And there's a massive variety too. There are big rooms that you can really walk around in and quite big in scope. There are small rooms. This whole film isn't just set in one room in a kind of small budget way like in real life where you've got 1 hour to escape. There's this whole array of rooms that the characters have to get through, and they're just so varied. There's ones where the threat isn't even visible in a room for quite some time until they get through the first couple of clues. And then there's other rooms where they're into danger straight away and they've got to react really fast. It's just, you're constantly on your toes, not knowing what's coming at any one time. And yet we have these down moments sometimes. And there's this one room where they just have to sit there for about half an hour for a reason I won't go into. And there's other rooms that are just done in like a couple of minutes. It's just fantastic, the variety. And all the time this is going on, we don't find out anything about the villains, which just makes it scarier. At the start of the film, when they go into this place, there's just this one security guard behind a desk, and then they get pointed towards this room, but once they're in there, the door locks behind them, and there's no host, nobody there to introduce them or explain anything. There's no annoying microphone voice at the start of each puzzle going, "So, Brianna, you spent your entire life avoiding your income tax. Well, now try and avoid these poisonous darts. Release the darts." Nothing like that. We do get to find out something at the end of the movie, but even then it's not everything we would want to know. It really sets it up well for a potential sequel. Characters in the film, excellent again. I'd say 4 of the 6 main protagonists are just superbly written. 2 of them a bit so-so. There's this one guy who is supposedly this expert in escape rooms. He's done 90 or 100 of them prior to this film. And he's so funny, especially in the first 20 minutes of the movie. Even when bad things start to happen, he still thinks it's just a game. He's saying things like, "Oh, the special effects in this escape room are the best I've ever seen," But absolutely the outstanding performance of them all is from this, I forget her character name, but she's played by an actress called Deborah Ann Wall. And you might remember her from the TV show Daredevil. She played this blonde secretary in that. Well, she's superb in this. She's really good. She plays this character who's done this tour of Afghanistan, and she's got kind of psychological difficulties from that, and now she's in this claustrophobic atmosphere of the escape rooms. It's really good. In fact, a lot of the characters have to deal with, are dealing with issues from real life, and then the rooms test out the problems that they're having in real life. It's really clever how it's linked, if you see what I mean. There's good music in this film, most notably at the end. The credit sequence has got this brilliant track that plays right at the end, and this whole graphical thing that's going on at the same time it plays. I was straight into looking up that tune the day after I saw the movie. So good music again, and there's just very, very few negatives on the whole. I'd probably mention two things, actually. Firstly, there are a few times where people are just jerks to each other in a really irritating way. You know, the jerk factor just creeps into the film a little bit, not too much to stop me enjoying it, but it's there. And also there's this really unnecessary prologue where we see a character attempting an escape room and he's getting pretty close to dying. We don't know the context of how he got there or anything like that. And then when that's over, we cut to the main plot line with the six main characters starting to get into it. But I just didn't need the prologue. You know, it's just one of these things that movies have sometimes. I just think they're unnecessary. Certainly in this case, I didn't think it should have been there. But it's a very minor niggle. You know, there's that and the jerk moments. But on the whole, it's a brilliant film. I'm surprised it's gone under the radar so much. I hardly ever hear it mentioned or any of the YouTube channels that I follow. I've not seen anybody talk about it or anything. But there is a sequel. It was supposed to come out this year, but due to COVID, I believe it's now coming out next year. So I'm definitely going to be there first week for that. I'm really excited for that. So let's see what's in the bag of terror. I think this is going to be extremely heavy today. I bet I'm hardly going to be able to move it. It's very heavy. Oh. God, that was heavy. I'm expecting a lot in here. I'm going to need an abacus for this. No, not really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 bloody axes for escape room. That is an excellent score, and it's not too far off masterpiece level. So yeah, you've got a real recommendation here. Go and see this film. It's very, very good. It's definitely going in my shelf collection. So there you go. There's no pin for the horror locations board today. The film is sadly ambiguous as to where the film is set. So you win some, you lose some. Right then, until next time, cheerio.